So it's a genuine pleasure to welcome Mr. Vinay Deshpande for this interview on behalf of the National CSR Network. He's a very senior HR professional with more than 37 years of an illustrious career, both in Indian and global corporations. Currently, he is the chairman of Chief Trustee of Mahindra Finance CSR Foundation. He is retired recently from Mahindra and Mahindra Financial Services as the Chief People Officer and is currently very active on the boards of several companies. An MBA from the SBM Pune and has been awarded the Best Alumnus Achiever of the Year 2020 by his institute. Worked during his tenure in Mahindra Finance and many these things. And during his tenure, Mahindra Finance was awarded great designations and accolades like a great place to work, the Aon Best Employer, DISL, PCMM Level 5, just to name a few. So a stellar and a all-round wonderful career at the senior most position level in the corporate life. And now one of the greatest influencers of the CSR movement that we are seeing today. Vinayji, thank you so much for sparing your time to come here with us. And we'll just sort of, if I may permit, we'd like to get your views slightly. You know, there have been so many changes recently because of COVID and so many hits that have come and so many challenges because of the COVID world. CSR itself has taken in many ways quite a turn and is, possibly looking at a new direction or inventing and searching for a new direction for yourself. I think our viewers will be very keen, and I personally am very keen to understand what are your thoughts, Vinayji, on how do you think the post-COVID world will impact the CSR space and vice versa?
Yeah, okay. So my views on this are as follows. First and foremost, CSR came as a compliance motive. When in the prior to 2014, I think the government of India, which was led by UPA, they made CSR mandatory by saying 2% of your corpus of should be created out of your profits. And then therefore the word corporate social responsibility came in. But I believe that social responsibility was not something unknown to Indian corporates. They were existing in various forms. And there were some companies which I would say that were taking initiatives on their own. Maybe the corpus was smaller or larger than what was prescribed. But that was what happened after this first change came. Some viewed it as additional taxation and some viewed it as a, way of channelizing their goodwill into the society and then making a brand out of it and so on. So the purpose of the organization, to my mind, is one of the purposes is to build a good reputation in the market. And this reputation comes from social responsibility, and many have realized this. And many have also looked at it from purely a marketing add-on. That you have a fund which you can spread and you can build your reputation around it. So that is one way of looking at it, which is very, very technical and not so purposeful in nature. But I think organizations who have been able to marry both, they've done a good job. And later, I think the organization started making various methods, and there was an era where, a lot of consultants mushroomed in helping organizations to create a structure on CSR. And, they started helping organizations in identifying the areas in which they can work, areas in which they can find a synergy, and so on. And there was therefore some method started coming into the madness. And this whole thing was almost coming to a maturity stage. There is a startup phase and there is a maturity phase of every project. And then corporates started becoming more mature in this. They started creating trusts or Section 8 companies, which was earlier Section 25 companies of their own, so that they could channelize their monies and then get into a lot of things. And changes started happening there also. I think earlier we have spoken about it, but for the sake of repetition and for the benefit of the audience, I would like to say that many laws are coming into picture now, that these Section 8 companies also cannot give benefits to the parent organization like ATG certificate and all that. So CSR has to be spent as CSR and not for the sake of getting a tax benefit. And those kind of changes are happening. Post-pandemic, although organizations had become mature, their focus started shifting a bit towards health and wellness. And I feel health and wellness has taken a major area where organizations have started looking seriously, because they felt that the society in which they operate, they needed help genuinely in this, because hospitalization was expensive. There was a scarcity of medicines. There was a scarcity of oxygen and so many things. There was a need felt whether vaccines can be supported by corporates, because there was a shortage, and maybe there was a little bit of funding, which got again reversed, where government said now we will take all the this thing, but private vaccines were also available. So those are the things where the organization started focusing. There was also a shift, I feel, from cultural, sports, and scientific events, which were being done earlier, because there are a lot of things which you can do in CSR. But people started channelizing more on this field of health and wellness, and supporting the underprivileged, particularly where the government's efforts can be further enhanced. So that is some area which I see primarily moving. Education is another area. Environment is another area where post-pandemic people have become more reliable. And most importantly, I think what the economy have taken a toll is in the area of employment.
Okay.
So employment has become a focus area also, because people who are normal, qualified, and were having jobs, they had to undergo salary cuts, headcount cuts, and so on. And therefore, the underprivileged, where the focus was on, diversity, inclusion, etc., for employment, that started getting a little bit of neglected, because people were struggling to find jobs for the normal population, and the disabled, and gender focus, transgenders, all these areas were sort of getting neglected, I felt, in certain way. It is again coming to a limelight. And therefore, efforts are required to also look at employment as an area apart from health and wellness.
So that's a fairly wide spectrum, and it's good to see that at least these core areas are coming back into focus, as the way they should be. And let's hope that this focus on health and wellness also takes its own stream. As I am part of the Art of Living Foundation, Vinayji, and we are also seeing a lot of focus within from a lot of companies talking to us for our wellness initiatives going forward these days. So that's something that I completely share your view there. taking a little going on, we'd also like to hear a little bit from you, Vinayji, on what do you feel are recent trends in the CSR space, and in terms of innovation, if you would like to just add your thoughts on how innovation in the CSR space is really working, and are there any innovative trends that are likely that can set standards for people going forward, which you would like to highlight or just want to mention?
So innovation is a very interesting topic. I'm personally very interested in this, but I look at this from two angles. First is the technical innovation, and where incubation kind of efforts are also allowed as CSR expenses. So that is something which everybody knows, and they fund scientific innovations and go to market for people who are working. There are some rules around it, and incubators are funded through CSR. So that is one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is, how can the CSR organizations innovate themselves, and what are the kind of innovations they can bring to the table. One innovation I would like to share is in my previous stints, I have seen that whether we can look at talent management through CSR and leadership development through CSR. So it's something which was a new area of innovation. We felt that if you send your own employees who have a potential to basically go and do some research in a Mofussil area of interest, that what are the kind of needs you can look at, and what projects you can therefore create through the CSR funds which will be allocated if you basically are successful in presenting this to the top management or the senior management.
Okay.
So it became a great area of idea generation. People said we can support schools. Some said we can build water bodies. Some said we can do green plantation and so on. And everything was research based. And execution also brought to the forefront the leadership potential of these employees. So that was something which I felt was one way of looking at innovation. So innovation is not necessarily only going through the incubators, but you can also do innovation in a manner where you can, in the past you have seen charity shows. And I liked one charity show, there was a slogan, music for a good cause. So that really resonated. So you can do so many things for a good cause, because today you don't have enough courage to have a large assembly and have cultural programs which can be charity shows the way they used to be pre-pandemic. But now you can innovate in a new way. Can you create a film on a OTT platform and then generate money to do good things in life? So those kind of things.
And that's very sorry, you were saying something?
Yeah. And one more area I felt was very deeply connected was coaching.
Okay.
Because there is not enough coaching happening in the CSR field.
I see.
It's more of consulting, and some organizations, they support these CSR departments of corporates in finding projects and so on. But there is no coaching. So I feel coaching would be a very good innovation as a intervention, because creating good CSR leaders is needed forward.
Achha.
And creating good leaders through CSR is also a good way of looking at things.
I completely empathize with you. In a new field emerging in this scale, there people would be looking at people who can, guide, mentor, coach, and possibly take people and, give them insights that possibly would not be so easily available. Moving on, Vinayji, some people with your breadth of experience at the very senior most levels of such a large group and leading at that level, could you share to us some kind of your thoughts on what are the challenges that it takes to create and sustain a CSR culture and an organization? I mean, at the broadest level of the word, because CSR at one level, people are looking at just that intervention. But in many ways, CSR can be so much broader. Maybe we'd love to hear your views there.
So I think CSR was becoming more organized because it got mandated. And CSR became a little bit of a burden during pandemic for economics point of view in organizations who were struggling to maintain their balance sheet, profits, and so on. So automatically, since it is mandatory, that 2% funding got affected in many companies. There are companies who, in spite of all the challenges, still retained their focus. They did not shy away from contributing to the society because they believe in the larger purpose of an organization. And I think from that perspective, these organizations have been successful in bouncing back fast. Because, when new employees join, there is always a kind of a filter in their mind that whether this organization stays with its own people and also with the society when things are not going in the right direction. And therefore, I feel these organizations have greatly succeeded in retaining talent, nurturing them, getting new talent into the ecosystem, also transforming the skill sets the way the new things require. And I think the purpose of the organization is coming to the forefront as a thing. So you remember I said earlier that before it was mandated,
Yes.
the CSR fund, there were organizations which were already contributing to the society. Now the same thing is coming back as a circle, that organizations who stayed with their real purpose of contributing to the society, they are still doing it, and they are more successful. Time will tell. I think the focus is on such companies who have not purely looked at the profit and loss purely from a commercial angle, but they have looked at the society as a large, whether we are working for them, what is the purpose, what is the core purpose, and business for the purpose rather than purpose for business. That's the kind of a trend which will make organizations more acceptable and successful.
Just to expand on that, Vinayji, I mean, there's also been, now that the mandation has happened and people in any case have to do it. But earlier there was this also people who had this, thought process where people would feel that just doing a very good job as an organization of what I'm doing itself is perhaps the greatest. There are also people who still have that point of view, whether despite the mandation. So what do you have to say for them, the people who still feel to some extent that that the very job of running this organization to the very best that I can, to me itself is the greatest CSR that I can bring to the table? I mean, is there a contradiction to that with this new thought of mandated CSR, or do you think that this is there is some amount of synergy there.
Yeah, so I would look at this from a very frank way that there are organizations who look at only their shareholders,
Sir.
and there are organizations who look at all stakeholders.
Okay.
So organizations which look at all stakeholders are successful in the long run, and that's where the CSR comes in.
Okay.
In spite of the economic backlash which can happen for the moment, because business was suspended for some time, or it was going slow for some time, or whatever. People who have looked at all stakeholders, customers, employees, and not just shareholders, they will definitely be more meaningfully entrusted with success in the future. The governments will look at them more positively. The customers will look at them more positively. The society will look at them more positively, and so on. And I think only time will tell the difference between people who only work for shareholders and people who work for all the stakeholders.
Thank you so much, Vinayji. This was a very, very nice discussion. And we're really grateful that you spared this little time duration for us to share your thoughts. We hope to stay in touch, and we'll try to keep bringing out such sessions for our viewers continuously going forward in the CSR space. Thank you so much. Genuinely a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Sanjay, for a nice conversation. Thank you.
A pleasure. Thank you, sir.